Hello, let's learn the fundamentals of pivot tables. Once you learn Excel pivot tables, there's no going back. Things that took you a long time to do with Excel formulas will literally take a couple of seconds with pivot tables. Probably you have heard of pivot tables and thought they sounded complicated, or maybe you have tried them and had difficulty working with them. Well, you have come to the right place because in this video, we'll give you a simple beginner's guide to pivot tables. I'm the self-proclaimed Excel expert who has been working advanced level Excel for last 10 years. My name is Shahid. I'll walk you through creating pivot tables. Let's talk a little bit about pivot tables first. In pivot tables, you can do something in few clicks that you took a long time to do with Excel formulas. And it is very flexible to slice and dice your complex data in more readable structure, look, and feel. So, for example, you have a data like this. I wanted to make it a little bit interesting with trading data. You have different accounts and different stocks, which is in this column. These are the tickers of the stocks. Then these are the number of stocks you invested. This is cost per share for each stock. This is when you bought them. This is cost of total investment for each stock. And this is price per share. I'll show you how to get the price per share directly from the web in another video. This is total gain of each one of your investment, and this is percentage of total gain. And if you want to know in for each of your account how is your total gain, or each one of your stocks how how much is the total gain, you can quickly create a pivot table and that will look like this. This is a simple pivot table which is showing for each one of your stock how much your total gain. And this one here, it is showing the chart showing the share of your total gain for each one of the stock. And if you were wondering where is the back end data coming from, you are right. This is the pivot table that is in the back end of this pivot chart. So we'll not cover pivot chart in this course today. I'll have another video which you can refer to in my channel to know more about pivot charts. But this is going to be pretty easy. All right, let's go back to our slide. I'm gonna talk a little bit about Excel version. While I'm recording this video, I'm using Microsoft Office 365 and the latest version of Excel. My screen may look different than yours, maybe because you are using a different version, probably an older version or in a Mac version. But don't worry, those will be all solvable, and most of the exercise I'm gonna show in this video will be also be able to do in another Excel version that you may have. And if you have a question, if you see differences in your screen, and if you cannot figure out how to do the pivot table in your version, yeah, please feel free to leave a comment in my video comment section, and then I'll try answer as soon as possible. All right, first thing first, you have to prepare the data as it is required by the pivot tables. There are certain conditions that must be met. There should not be any blank column. There should not be any blank row. There should not be any blank field name. And best practice is convert your range of data into a table. I'll quickly show you how to do that. All right, so this is already clean data. So I'm going to copy this data in another sheet as a simple range. Say for example, this is your data. I'm going to copy and paste. This is your data, okay? And you cannot have a blank row. Insert blank row, insert blank row. And you cannot have a column. For example, if you have another column here, I'll just copy this for example purpose. And if you don't have a header name here, this is not going to be working in pivot table. So make sure you have a name for it. Maybe I'll name it test column. Make sure you have no column name that doesn't have a you have no column that doesn't have a header column name. And make sure you always delete all the blank rows first. You cannot have a blank row. Say for example, if you had a blank row here, it will not work. So always delete the blank columns. And one last thing is convert this into a table format. So select your data range and then go to home, go format as a table and format with any of the look and feel you would like. So let's just click here. So you may be wondering why you need to convert this, format this data range into a table. The answer is when you add a new row and at the end, if you don't have this data as a table, the pivot table will not know it, and that will ignore the added column or added row. Say for example, I'm going to show you. It's your margin 2 account. Let's say it's Coinbase. See, as soon as you added the first value, the range of the table expands to include the new row. Okay, that way the pivot table will know you have a new column and it will include it. At the same time, if you have a new column, for example, days gain, then the table range will again expand and it will let the pivot table know that you have a new column and it will consider it. If you don't have this data range as a table, it will be ignored. Okay, so let's go back to slide. Let's go to the next slide. So in this section, we'll cover create a pivot table and talk about row field, column field, value field, and filters. Okay, let's do one by one. Let's go back to Excel. Let's go to the clean data. How you do is click here, click press Ctrl A to select the entire data and make sure you have the entire data selected. Then go insert, go pivot table, and normally it is gonna this one up to here it says where your pivot table will be placed. Um, it says it'll be placed in the new worksheet that will be created. So let's just do OK. See, this one is created. This is a pivot table, blank pivot table. Now you have different values that you need to grab and drop in one of these boxes. So let's talk about a little bit more about what are these boxes. So rows, let's start with rows. So rows field will fill the pivot table with the values from your data as you want. Say for example, you want to know how much gain you had for each of your account. So account would be the rows field. So grab that and drop in here. See instantly your pivot table is now showing different accounts without any values. So how do you grab the values? This is going to be done by the field that you drop in here in this box. So let's try and locate the gain field. This is the gain field. So hold it and drop it in the values box. Now you see your total gains for each one of your accounts. Right. Now I don't normally like the default formatting because it's currency. It's showing multiple multiple uh, decimal points. So one extra step is needed for this is go to this, expand this arrow here and go to value field setting, go to number format, click currency, and I would normally don't want any decimal places. So, but if you like, you can do that. Click OK, click OK. So now you need know your margin one account has a total gain of $331 and your grand total gain is $1,200. And you can verify that from your data. If you select your total gain column in total, the sum here in the taskbar shows 1209, which matches your pivot table value. Okay, so that's about, we covered row field and value field. Now let's talk about column field. Okay, let's go back. So this box here is the column field, and in the column field, you know, you can grab and drop any of those column, any of those fields to see the result. And let's try this. So for example, for each stock, how much did you gain per account? So let's grab this ticker and drop it in the column box. Now you see this is showing for margin account in coin stock you had $442 loss. For example, for SPCE you had $574 loss. For Tesla you have in the same account $3,447 gain. This is nice, and you can easily summarize the data with a pivot table in this way. You can choose your other columns as well. Okay, all right, that's the column field. Now let's do the filter. Okay, so filter is very important if you want to know for certain account or certain time period how much you had gain or loss. So let's try transaction date in the filter. All right, so grab transaction date and drop in here. You can select specific transaction date here and see the gain or loss on that transaction. You can also put the transaction date in here, and once you have it, you will see for each transaction date how much you gain or loss. The filter, there's another way you may want to summarize this data is put the account in the filter and the ticker in the rows. Now you know your accounts are here, and you can do this. Select any of your account and see only transactions or total gains for that account and divide it up by different stocks. Another way to do filter is to use the slicer. So if you want to do the slicer, make sure your cursor is within the pivot table. Go to Analyze, go Insert Slicer here, and select Account. This is more visual. Okay, I'm gonna I'm gonna format the slicer to show only the values with data. So let's hide items with no data. Okay, it looks better now. Let's make it a little bigger so you can read it. Let's put it here, right here. So in this, you can select different accounts and see the pivotable updates, and you can clear all the filters with this, or you can select multiple filter with this. At the same time, I'm going to show you how you can also select multiple items here. So make sure the select multiple items checkbox is checked. With that, you can select multiple items from this. So that's about filter. You have another way to do filter is the timeline. So go to analyze and insert timeline. So you have to have a time or date in your data. We have transaction date, so let's use that. Now see the timeline showing here. So you can select time, different timelines. These are not showing any data because there was no transaction for the data in 2019. So let's just put something from 2021. See, your pivot table is updating here, and you can select multiple, like drag and multiple months. All right, this is very nice and easy. Okay, let's go back. Next step. What do you want to do next step? Now you know the basic fundamentals of pivot table. Uh, you can practice more. If you are interested, you can learn more in-depth pivot table. And to do that, you can either refer to my other videos where I have in-depth pivot table I am planning to upload soon, or you can try Power Pivots. And again, I'm preparing Power Pivots tables video. It'll be available soon. Alternatively, if you are interested now, you can Google. There are thousands of tutorials on the web and YouTube. You can try them. Thank you. Have a nice day. And don't forget to subscribe and like my video if you like it, if it's helpful. Hopefully it was helpful. And I'll try to reply to your comments if you have any. Feel free. Thank you.